I've been involved in town government since 1990 when I first ran for town council. I served 4 terms on the town council beginning in 1992. I was the original chairman, original president of the Foster Land Trust when it was first formed, which was a lot of fun. We set in place a lot of rules and kind of investigated how land trust should run. It was a very, very interesting time to go through that. Professionally, I work for a software company as a professional services manager. I've been doing that for 26 years. I work from my home office, travel occasionally. I served on the 2012 Charter Review Commission as its chairman. So all of that combined makes me relatively familiar with town government, the charter and how it works. So I would be excited to serve again on Charter Review. It would be fun.
Thank you. Susan Sprague.
I'm Susan Sprague. I've been here for almost 20 years, so I'm a brand new year. Almost 20 years, hard to believe. I started as deputy town clerk in 2014. The last Charter Review Commission, I helped a lot with the agenda and the minutes. It's very interesting. I think it's something that I can help with being in town hall. It's very interesting and a good way to give back, and I think there are a lot of changes that can be made, and I'm interested in helping to push those forward.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions for any of the individuals or one for the whole group?
What's up?
I do.
Surprise!
The people that are looking at the charter, is there any, I'm assuming you're familiar with the charter, and is there any one particular item on the charter that you're looking to change? Is there something that you are looking at? Mr. Savazio?
Yeah, I already mentioned, we experimented with the 4-year terms for the school committee. We got no negative feedback on that. Separated 3-2. I think having, let me explain, sorry. 3 people 1 year, 2 people the next year, so you have turnover, but you're not turning over the possibility of all 5 people. There's been no negative feedback. I think it will help the people on the council and the clerk. Takes you a while to fall in, especially if you're new. So I think that's the number 1 thing on the agenda. And the number 2 thing, why I asked Mrs. Dillon to be on, or Susan, they could be a non-voting member. They have the knowledge of all the things by state law and that don't work day to day in their dealing, that you could speak to it better than me, but that would be our starting list of, I think, word changes, part of law changes, and that kind of stuff. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Ryder?
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Savazio, but also I think it has, and I never thought I'd say this, but I think it's come time that the town had either full-time or probably part-time town manager or administrator. With so many part-time people, there is no one who keeps all the balls in the air or is able to, or who is tracking, well, this department needs to talk to that department, needs to talk to that department, we should, do this, but oh, that person's out that day. And I think it would cut down a lot on misinformation. It would be much more efficient, and people would know what they're supposed to know, when they're supposed to know it, instead of, playing catch up a lot of the time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
You don't know what you know until you don't know.
All right. Thank you.
No, sorry,
Oh, I didn't see you. I'm sorry,
That's
John.
all right. My understanding is there is one thing that needs to change, which is the allocation of responsibilities between the clerk and the finance director, that currently the charter doesn't reflect the current distribution of those responsibilities. But apart from that, I think the committee would be run based on consensus. Certainly the council's concurrence is needed on anything, then the wider community would need to vote on it. So no specific changes other than the absolutely necessary ones.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that I did not see? Thank you. As I said, we're going to be doing that further on. We do have public comment. Mrs. Ryder.
Lynn Ryder, Burgess Road, and I don't want to steal John's thunder, but when I saw that it was on an ecology website, that report about all the difficulty that you are having trying to expand your business because of the well contamination, or the state is saying the well is contaminated because of the junkyard. So that they are really between a rock and a hard place, and I think that the town is letting business owners or future business owners down by not enforcing what needs to be enforced. Now, who knows if they're gonna be able to expand their business. Also, there is the concern, if their well is contaminated and you're how many feet away?
Proposed well, I think, is about 500 feet away.
Right, and 50 feet away is the Hemlock Brook, so, which feeds into the Situate Reservoir. So a lot more people should be concerned.
Thank you. Mr. Livingston?
Is this about dogs too?
Not yet, right now we're talking about
Dogs.
not yet. We'll be talking about dogs soon, okay? When we get there, I'll recognize you. Here you go. Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to the old business, Economic Development Committee resolution. I just wanted to give a brief to the council members why I determined to do or decided to present to you a resolution for each of the committees. I had, when we were going to the consent agenda, I had observed or watched the recording of Richmond's council meeting. And at that council meeting, they were having a community center being built, and they came up with a resolution. And as you know, I'm not thrilled with the way things were going with the police building committee. So putting those two together, I cheated and copied Richmond's resolution and kind of modified it for our resolution here for the Economic Development Committee, for the Charter Review Committee, and further down for the Historic District Oversight Committee. So, that being said, that gives you a little history of why I came up with this. Would somebody like to read it?
That one I didn't print, but oh. I'll read this one if somebody wants to read the next one.
Okay.
Okay. Resolution 2019-2. And this is a resolution of the Town Council establishing an Economic Development Advisory Committee. Whereas the town has previously had an Economic Development Advisory Committee, and whereas the previous Economic Development Advisory Committee was disbanded on June 28, 2007, and whereas the Town Council recognizes the need to expand the community's tax base and to encourage the development and retention of skilled employment opportunities for local residents, and whereas in order to promote a stable and diversified local economy and enhance the quality of life in the town of Foster, the Town Council appoints an Economic Development Advisory Committee to serve in said advisory capacity to the Town Council and Planning Board. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Foster Town Council hereby creates a committee called the Foster Economic Development Advisory Committee. Be it further resolved that the committee shall consist of 5 voting members who are Foster residents. The committee members shall elect a chair, a vice chair, and a clerk from among their members. The chair shall preside at the meetings, and the vice chair shall assume the chair's duties in the absence of the chair. The clerk shall provide the meeting agendas for posting on the Secretary of State's website. shall record, prepare, and maintain meeting minutes, and shall submit approved minutes to the town clerk within the required timeframe, shall maintain any records of the committee, and shall carry out all other tasks necessary for compliance with the Open Meetings Act and Access to Public Records Act. The committee shall automatically disband on September 30th, 2019, excuse me, if not extended by resolution before that date. All members initially appointed shall continue to serve until September 30th, 2019. If a seat becomes vacant, the town council shall appoint a qualified person to fill the seat. The committee shall meet at least once a month. All meetings shall be open to the public, but members of the public shall not have the right to address the committee unless permitted to do so by the chair. The committee may conduct one or more meetings solely for the purpose of hearing public comments. The town values its local business community's positive impact on our quality of life and employment opportunities, and its provision of necessary services for town residents and visitors. The committee will welcome input and questions from local businesses and prospective business owners. The town council, town clerk, town treasurer, town planner, and town solicitor shall provide technical assistance and advice to the committee if asked to do so by the committee chair. The committee is charged to complete the following tasks for the community. A, advise the planning board and town council in matters regarding community economic development. B, recommend to the planning board and town council strategies that promote and enhance responsible economic growth in the community. C, work to implement the goals and objectives of the town's comprehensive community plan as they relate to economic development. D, facilitate as a liaison, cooperate and collaborate with state, federal, and business-related entities. E, support promotional activities for the consistent and balanced economic development and growth of the industrial and commercial base of the town of Foster. F, provide appropriate guidance and advocacy for new or existing business applicants regarding project viability and the regulatory approval process. G, review the town's expired tax exemption and stabilization program to determine if this should be renewed and or revised. H, provide applicants with appropriate information and application materials regarding the town's tax exemption and stabilization program. The committee's findings and recommendations shall be submitted to the council in the form of a written report no later than October 31st, 2019. Given under the seal of the town council of the town of Foster this 14th day of March, 2019.
And Mr. Savazio, I did write this one.
Good job.
Thank you.
Boys
What's
did
the
that.
pleasure of the council?
I make a motion that we accept the Economic Development Committee resolution as presented.
Second.
Discussion. Mrs. Ryder.
Isn't there a lot of crossover between the planning board's job and this
It
committee?
could be, but I'm hoping that we get some fresh insight.
So who do they report to?
It's to their advisory committee, to the planning board and the council. Yes.
Mike Carpenter, I'm on the planning board. I would strongly suggest that, and as much as you're working on the budget right now, that you allocate appropriate funds to this committee, Development Council, because they're gonna have to cover travel expenses, and they're gonna also, as you did, to get information from other towns. They should belong to state organizations and related organizations and subscribe to various publications to have current information about economic development. So to send them unarmed, without a budget, into this daunting task that's nagged town for over 50 years would be a little unrealistic in today's environment. They are gonna have to pay fees to get this information. I even would go so far as to suggest the use of a consultant specifically to outline a program for the town to follow. As you say, you're looking for a report at the end of all this work. Just like we all need guidance. These are good people, business owners, business operators, sincerely interested in the town, but they're not experts. Okay? If you're not selling your service as an economic development official, a professional right now, then you're not a professional. You have to be paid to be a professional. So we all have business knowledge, we all have business experience, we all like the town and work in the town, want to give back. However, without a professional to guide them through this, it's going to diminish the value of the information that the council would receive in October. So again, I strongly suggest that a line item budget be appropriated and obviously administered by the council, okay, as appropriate. There won't be a footloose, fancy-free expense account, but to put a serious stamp on this and power behind it, make a commitment to some money to get this done, once and for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Savazio?
Yeah, one last thing. I honestly think the council, the chair, the attorney, obviously Mr. Rogers, but I'm gonna say the chair, has to start to make contacts downtown, to economic development, to different entities, and introduce us to them and say we're open for business, because you've been attending our meetings, and when we brought that professional in, and with the planner, all anybody's ever heard about Foster is, don't go there, they're never gonna approve it. So we have to somehow change that. We can work internally, but there has to be a lot of external work. Mike's correct, everything that's been said here is correct. So, but the one thing that's never happened here, I don't know this for sure, the one thing that needs to happen here is the council starts to need to reach out. You're our representatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sheldon?
Mr. Carver's, I believe Mr. Carver's correct. I think we need to do this and we need to do it right.
Thank you.
That may cost us a couple of bucks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. I'm signing it now because I always forget. Can you pass that down? Moving on to the appointment of Economic Development Committee.
I'll make a motion to appoint Bob Moreau, Dave Rathben, Michael Galligan, Gordon Rogers, and Bob DiPaolo to the Economic Advisory Committee.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to the Charter Review Committee resolution. Would someone like to read that?
You don't want me.
Okay. Resolution 2019-01, whereas the town's charter was last revised in November 2016, and as such is in need of revisions, and whereas the town council would like to receive recommendations for changes to the charter, now therefore be it resolved that the Foster Town Council hereby creates a committee called the Foster Charter Review Committee. Be it further resolved that the committee shall consist of 5 voting members who are Foster residents. 2, committee members shall elect a chair, a vice chair, and a clerk from among their members. The chair shall preside at meetings, and the vice chair shall assume chair's duties in the absence of the chair. The clerk shall provide the meeting agendas for posting on the Secretary of State's website, shall record, prepare, and maintain meeting minutes and submit approved minutes to the town clerk within the required time frame. Shall maintain any records of the committee and shall carry out all other tasks necessary for compliance with the Open Meetings Act and Access to Public Records Act. 3, the committee shall automatically disband on September 30th, 2019, if not extended by resolution before that date. All members initially appointed shall continue to serve until September 30th, 2019. If a seat becomes vacant, the town council shall appoint a qualified person to fill the seat. 4, the committee shall meet at least once a month. All meetings shall be open to the public, but members of the public shall not have the right to address the committee unless permitted to do so by the chair. The committee shall conduct one or more meetings solely for the purpose of hearing public comments. 5, the town council, town clerk, town treasurer, town planner, and town solicitor shall provide technical assistance and advice to the committee if asked to do so by the committee chair. 6, the committee shall study and make recommendations concerning any deletions, additions, or revisions to the existing charter. The committee's findings and recommendations shall be submitted to the town council in the form of a written report no later than October 31st, 2019. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution of the town council establishing a charter review committee, resolution number 2019-01.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Appointment of Charter Review Committee. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we appoint John Restivo, Dave Paolino, Bob Boyden, Kathleen Swanson, and Susan Sprague.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I have a question.
Hearing? I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Ruth.
Yeah, you asked people to come out here, I was gonna say this last time, you asked people, believe me, let me say first of all, I actually said to Stoney today, you weren't gonna hurt my feelings. However, you asked people to come out here, be interviewed, you're appointing 2 people to the committee that didn't show up. So, why go through this farce? Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to the adoption of animal ordinance, Mr. Livingston. So we have before us, there's been much communication between Mr. Marsland, who I see is here, and Pat Howarth, who is also on the animal. So we have an updated with all their recommendations within it. The last, when we had the public hearing, there were some recommendations. When we had our meeting, the last meeting, and we tabled it to tonight, there were some recommendations. So before us, you have the revised vision of the new one. Yes, would you, some of the highlighted,
So, we took the recommendation of the Situate Animal Control Officers, we took out the 72-hour notification. They didn't want that, it's not the Situate one, they thought that would kind of hamstring them. What we did though is obviously someone has to have a due process right if they know their dog is, or their animal is being impounded, to be notified to a right of a hearing. So we just left that as that, but no hours in there as they didn't want that. Secondly, there was much discussion about a $2 fine as opposed to a $5 fine. The state law says it's a $2 fine. You can go to the state senate, in which we have Senator Rogers here. The council would have to make a recommendation to Senator Rogers to submit a bill to increase that from $2 to $5. My suggestion is if this is okay, we pass this tonight to get the dog ordinance in place, because I don't know how long that would take this session, or if they even hear it this session, but
I think I could get it in.
yeah, so, but I think that's kind of more of a minor issue, so I think that can just be tweaked if the Senate agrees with you to put it to $5, and we can then come back and make that line change there. I think, Denise, those were the 2 main ones, weren't they? Was there
Yes.
another one?
I believe so. Mr. Moslin, would you agree those were the 2 main ones that were brought forward?
That would be the 2 main ones. My only concern as far as the fee goes, for the last, I can't even tell you how many years, whatever the fees were for the impoundment, even when Mr. Caparelli was a dog officer, the board fee especially has always gone to Situate, so we've always charged the same fee. And because you're contracted with us, I wouldn't understand, unless the lawyer can explain it, why you would have to go through this whole process when you've been working with us this whole time and you're contracted with us. So basically, when the people come to get their animal, they have to pay the fees that are going to Situate. The board fee and the impound fees go directly to the town of Situate versus the fines and citations come directly to the town of Gloucester.
Well, I guess there's a couple of things. This is where you get this disconnect with this regionalization, because last meeting we had that we didn't want Situate name put in here because in case the contract runs out and you guys aren't in there. And so now we hear this sign going that. So I think what we've got to do is we just can't put Situate in here this time for money purposes, but not put it in there for whatever the issue was last meeting, I forget now. So I think if that's the issue about $2 from $5, I think that the way to do it is have Senator Rogers submit the bill and then have it in here for Forster at $5, so in case next time it's not Situate, it's Coventry or Gloucester or someone else, that it's that way. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I just wondered if the clerk we could move on that Tuesday or Monday, she can send me an email and then I can transfer it
Do
over.
we need to vote on that? And
Yes.
it's not on the agenda, so I put it on for the next agenda.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Do we have a motion? And then I'll,
I just have
Okay.
one more.
could we just make our motion, then we can have further discussion? Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to adopt the animal control ordinance with the revisions that were presented to us tonight.
Second.
Now I'll recognize you, Mr. Moslin.
Under the penalties was really the third topic. And my only question, this would be a question for legal, would be, when we have this fine set up now, if someone doesn't license their dog, in the past, it was a $25 fee. Is this now gonna be able to, are we gonna be able to use this fee setup for licensing or other violations of ordinances?
Are you talking section C where it's under Rhode Island general laws, $20, $30, and $50, is that where you are?
Yeah, section 8-157.
Yep, that's section C, that's what you're talking about, on the last page.
Yeah. So we're going by state law right there, that the general law is 14-13-1B, 13I. And we're following that as $20 for the first offense within a calendar year, $30 for the second offense, and then $50 for a third and any subsequent offense within the calendar year. What
Okay.
was your question on that?
So,
Please.
That goes to the town of Foster, if you.
yes,
Yes.
yes, that would go to town of Gloucester. So what I'm asking is, in Situate, the way we work it is, regardless if it's an unlicensed dog, if it's a unrestrained dog, we have that fee of 20, 30, and 50.
Right.
Is that gonna, the way it's worded here, is that gonna work for this as well?
Yeah, because it's just
Okay.
it's
It
a dog
says-
running at large.
That was the
correct?
question I
Yeah.
had for you,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, yeah.
Mr. Livingston, do you have a question?
I just got some statements.
Okay.
No questions. I'm coming over here.
Can you give us your name and address too, so that we have that for the record?
54A Howard Hill Road, Foster.
Okay. You have props?
Yes. You
Okay.
guys, I understand by the paper, you don't know how to heal a dog. I left my leash at home, so my arm will be my leash. The dog's natural instinct is to walk in back of the heel. It's natural. So he's out there somewhere, heel. And if he's on the leash and he doesn't come, you just tug him in gently, sits there, good dog, and give him a treat. That's the definition. Definition of healing is the dog would normally, naturally want to walk in back of your right heel. I forgot my leash.
Thank you.
I'm Bill Livingston, I live in Howard. I lost track, maybe 60 years, I forgot. Barking needs to be on the agenda.
It's a noise ordinance.
There's a lot
Yeah,
of dogs.
that
that
was
bark.
something that we talked about, we do not have a noise ordinance within the town, so that was something that,
That's got to be, that should be on dogs, because some of them are real loud. They're very easy to control, they have bark collars. Put a bark collar on, and if he opens his mouth to bark, that thing gives him a little shock, so he stops. Under control here, I just went through that. I got Elsie the dog, she knows Elsie, a couple of people know Elsie. If I'm walking with Elsie and I say sit, she just flattens out to the ground, boom. She's a 17-pound miniature dachshund. I say sit, boom, she's on the ground. She's a nice behaved, well-trained dog. I just said to teach a dog to heel, I just did that a little bit. All my beagles, when I had beagles hunting, they were all tied to their dog houses or in the house. I lived down the lane 1,000 feet, so my little dachshund will not go near the lanes here and my little driveways here. She will not go up to the driveway. There's too many traffic there. Dr. Cutler's got patients going by. When I bought her, she was this big, that big, and I threw my cap just over her. That was it. That dog learns fast. She won't go beyond the edge of my fields. I got the finest stuff that's in there. People have invisible fences to keep their dogs in. Some people. I just said I kept my beagles tied when I was hunting rabbits. Got my collar here. Here's something. Because you don't know ordinance on noise of dogs barking, people come to Foster. One man's dog went to grab or jump at my neighbor walking on the highway. So the dogs, the attitude of the people with those dogs was, this is Foster. We don't have to have any restraint on other dogs. That's their attitude when they come here.
Well, that'll change now.
yes,
I said that'll change now with the ordinance.
hopefully that will,
Okay.
yep.
I got 47 acres, we can't fight it. If people would control their animals on their own, we would not be here, Bill.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We have,
Just want to add,
thank you, Mr. Livingston.
You're welcome.
Mr. Rogers.
that was the how you doing? That was the catalyst of this whole issue. Several years back, the police officers came to us under multiple complaints of people just letting their dogs run and there was no bite to it. So that's why this was created for the committee to look into it. And during that time, we consolidated with Situate, so that all kind of came in place at the same time. But it originally started out, Mr. Livingston, with the attitude, people move out here and their dogs, they think their dogs can just run rampant, you know, and people do get bit and it can be dangerous.
Mrs. Ryder.
Would it be a good idea to put this in the Foster Home Journal, where people will be able to read it, because they're most likely not going to go on the town website, and then they're gonna be shocked when their dog is picked up for something that they've always been able to do, or they've always let them do.
Right, it's always been.
Good idea, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Oh, thank you. All right, where's Betty Lou? Yes. Are you happy? Yes. Thank you. Me too. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to the recognition of the land trust. So, the planning board had recommended that we recognize various volunteers and committees. So the council has determined that once a month, we will recognize the various committees until we've run out, and then we'll start again because there might be new people on. So tonight, we have invited the Land Trust. I had been attending the Conservation Commission committee, and they were talking about all the work that the Land Trust does. Now, we think of the Land Trust as the group, or many of us do, the group that buys property, takes it off the tax, and what are we gonna do? But they do more than that. They clear brush, they make trails, they mark the trails, they post signs, they put out maps. They do so many things that I'm not sure that everyone understands or realizes. So they do have a page, a link on the website, on the town website, and their purpose of the Land Trust is to preserve some of the natural resources of Foster for present and future generations. Property set aside for conservation adds to the value of the entire community and helps retain the rural character of our town. Our desirable property list includes open space, streams, ponds, working farms, wetlands, significant historical properties, scenic and natural sites. They have wonderful trails that I hope people take advantage of. That being said, we do have a certificate here for you, nothing fancy. I have to sign it, I should sign that. Dennis Therian. Tom Boyden. Linda Tibbetts. Oh, yes, that sticks out on us. Myra Mercia. Thank you.
Thank you, Myra.
Walter May. Thank you, Walter.
Highly well.
Thanks a lot. Lawrence Chapman. She wants to get rid of it. It's gone away. And this member is also a member on the planning board, and he's the liaison, Michael Collins. And thank you. Moving on. Foster Conservation Committee wanted to be on concerning Earth Day. They had some things that they wanted to bring forward to us and some concerns that they might have.
We're trying to put together, a little late in the game here, Earth Day cleanup on the 27th of April. We want to gather as many volunteers as we can to do some litter pickup on the side of the roads around here. You all look around when you're not driving down these roads at 60 miles an hour and actually look, there's an awful lot of trash on the roads. You see a lot of it on Route 6, Route 101, Route 102. The commuter roads are just a disaster. But we feel that might be a little beyond the scope of volunteering with school children, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, that sort of thing. So our plan is going to be to stick to the secondary roads, start off somewhere in, right here in the middle of town, work our way out. We're strongly encouraging homeowners to pick up in front of their place. We have, got the volunteer fire department willing to show up and follow behind a group of people if we get them out on the main road somewhere, Foster Center Road. If we've got kids out there, we want to, slow people down. People drive way too fast in this town. We've got Lou Benegro is going to get us a couple of containers for the trash that gets picked up. We're actively trying to seek some donations to fund bags and gloves and those sort of things, some flyers. We've got an ad going in the Home Journal. What else did I miss?
I did speak to the chief about putting
His
that
son.
sign out, and they're gonna put it out on 94 for you.
Okay, good, that was probably in my list. I didn't use a big enough font here though to read everything. That was the signs. We're trying to get some donations. There's no Eco Depot being held in town this year. There's one in Situate, it's by appointment only. Unfortunately, I don't have that information here with me. Keeping that fact in mind that on Earth Day, people were used and accustomed to going to DPW to drop off stuff, we're gonna encourage them to continue to bring their electronics, their big items, large items, stuff that won't get picked up anywhere else. We're gonna try to keep, they agreed to keep the DPW open from 8 to 11:30, so we can, stuff during the week for people to get over there to dispose of some of that stuff. So if we can kind of spell that out a little bit in our advertisements too, that'll be awful helpful. I think that's about it. We've got an awful lot to get done in a short amount of time. We're looking for volunteers to do anything to help clean up with us, to help clean up around them. If you got a pickup truck, you can show up and bring some garbage bags around and bring them to the dumpster, or, just helping out however we can. We can see how many people we can pull together and try to clean it up a little bit.
Dave, are we still doing tires?
No.
No.
No tires, Lou said.
I heard we were.
Lou told me we weren't, but if you recently, about 3 weeks ago, if you've heard from him since, then we are doing tires.
Oh, I thought we were doing tires. We'll see, we'll find out one day.
Yeah, I'll find out from Lou.
Let us know.
I'll text him here in a minute and see. Okay.
Mrs. Ryder?
Is there, if you're asking people to clean up in front of their property, a lot of times you end up with a whole bunch of really gross bags that nobody wants to put in their car, and they could end up just sitting out there for the trash and adding to our tipping fee. Will there be some kind of a pickup?
We're trying to get that sorted out with volunteers, because that's why I was just asking if we can get some pickups, somebody with trailers, anything that we can to take them away. If stuff goes into a dumpster from an Earth Day cleanup, I believe the tipping fees are exempt at the resource recovery for a week or two. They exempt it. But we're talking about how we're gonna pull that one off right now. Dennis might have more information.
Yeah, to answer Lynn's question, we'd like to encourage the people to clean in front of their own houses, say 100 yards on each direction, and just put it in your weekly trash. If you're picking up cans and bottles, put them in your recycle. Simple, very simple.
Clean them first, because
Yeah, wash
the
them
trash.
clean, but, and the trash, just put it in the trash.
Okay.
That way there, we don't have to be running around with trucks picking stuff up, just,
Right.
and hopefully
But we
you don't-
can, if
Yeah.
people need us to, we're gonna try to figure out a way to pull that off. We were also been talking, we had a woman from the Rhode Island Resource Recovery attend one of our meetings and share really a lot of valuable information for us, for the town, to start looking at to reduce our cost overruns that we run into here. And we gathered a lot of information from her. I attended the Land and Water Summit last weekend down at URI. We're gonna really start trying to get the word out to townspeople more along repurpose, reuse, recycle, rather than just throw it in the garbage bag, because that's what's, what she was saying, that's our biggest overrun right there, is just everybody puts so much trash out in front of their house, so. It's not gonna be simple and easy. She came up with a lot of ideas on, you know, well, you pay to,
Pay as you go.
pay as you go. She talked about, you know, the smaller containers, that you can only fill up certain containers like some of the towns have. There's a lot of things like that that she can help us with, but doesn't have the muscle to make that happen. Obviously, that has to come from the, you know, the higher ups as far as how that's handled, contracts and everything like that. But we're gonna try to, spend some time educating people on how to stop repurposing, you know, let's fix things instead of just throw them out now. So that's the Conservation Commission.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any questions from the council?
I do.
Yes, Dan.
I don't know if this is the right time, but I'll ask anyway. We are gonna be focusing on the town's roads, not so much the state roads like Route 6, 101, even right here. But we'd like to ask the council if they could get in touch with the state to see if they can send out people to clean their streets. That would help us a lot, because it's too dangerous for us and kids and other people to be out there on those highways cleaning. So if a recommendation can be made to see if they can come and clean their streets once the snow melts.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the Historic District Oversight Committee. As you know, I'm now on the Police Building Committee, and at the meeting Monday night, there was discussion about the fact that we could possibly have two empty historic buildings in town, the library and the police station. So it was suggested that we develop a historic oversight committee. It was recommended that it be people someone from the planning board, the zoning board, the police building committee, preservation, the library, police department itself, and someone from the council. So I did send out an email on Monday night asking to the chairs of all those committees, asking if they would send names of someone that would be on that. But before you have the resolution for the Historic District Oversight Committee.
You want me to read that one, Denise? You read the last one? Okay. All right, resolution of the town council establishing a historic district oversight committee. Whereas the town of Foster has an historic, I think it should be, district, and whereas the town council has appointed a police station building committee, and whereas the town's library is also looking for a new location, and whereas these current buildings may become vacant, and whereas the town council recognizes the need to maintain the historic district's character, and whereas the town council would like to receive recommendations on what can be done with the empty buildings. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Foster Town Council hereby creates a committee called the Foster Historic District Oversight Committee. Be it further resolved that, 1, the committee shall consist of 7 voting members who are members of the following boards and committees: Preservation Society, Library, Police Department, Police Building Committee, Planning Board, Zoning Board, and 1 ex officio non-voting member who is a member of the Town Council. 2, committee members shall elect a chair, a vice chair, and a clerk from among their members. The chair shall preside at meetings, and the vice chair shall assume the chair's duties in the absence of the chair. The clerk shall provide the meeting agendas for posting on the Secretary of State's website, shall record, prepare, and maintain meeting minutes, and submit approved minutes to the town clerk within the required time frame. Shall maintain any records of the committee, and shall carry out all of the tasks necessary for compliance with the Open Meetings Act and Access to Public Records Act. 3, the committee shall automatically disband on September 30th, 2019, if not extended by resolution before that date. All members initially appointed shall continue to serve until September 30th, 2019. If a seat becomes vacant, the town council shall appoint a qualified person to fill the seat. 4, the committee shall meet at least once a month. All meetings shall be open to the public, but members of the public shall not have any right to address the committee unless permitted to do so by the chair. The committee may conduct one or more meetings solely for the purpose of hearing public comments. 5, the town council, town clerk, town treasurer, town planner, and town solicitor shall provide technical assistance and advice to the committee if asked to do so by the committee chair. 6, the committee shall study and make recommendations concerning A, how to maintain the buildings within the historic district, B, grants available for restoration and preservation of the current police and libraries, C, any other related matter the committee believes it should consider. The committee's findings and recommendations shall be submitted to the town council in the form of a written report no later than October 31st, 2019.
Can I have a motion?
I make a motion that we enact the Historic District Oversight Committee resolution.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I did receive, as the second part of that agenda item, I did receive notification from some of those committees that I had emailed. The Police Building Committee has nominated Gordy Brayton. Preservation Society has nominated Tom Boyden. The library, I'm sorry, Bob Boyden? Tom, okay.
That was me.
Preservation Society was Tom Boyden.
I thought we discussed Bob, but that's great.
You discussed me because I had a call in.
Yeah.
Did I? And I put the wrong
Unless you
name
want it,
down?
Tom.
I'm really having a hard time with you. Bob, I'm really having a hard time with you. Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm not
Again,
coming
I
back here for a
apologize.
while. Two crowds in one night.
Let's see if I can go for 3. All right. The library, Karen Mueller. The police chief, Wright. Mr. Savazio sent a response, but did not give a name. And a zoning board, I have not heard anything from. So that leaves the council. Who would you like to be? And the council would be a non-voting member.
I don't know, it's not on the
It's
agenda.
on the agenda. It says oversight committee / resolution.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming that that covers us.
Does it?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there anyone on the council that would like to be on that committee?
Put Cheryl on, she's not here.
There you go.
Is there?
I would like to just, my schedule, it
Yeah.
depends on when the meetings were, my grandkid days vary.
Mhm.
Joe's ready.
Come on,
Joe's
Joe.
ready.
Put Cheryl on.
Come on.
Yeah, I'll do it, all right.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Is
Thanks,
there a
Joe.
motion to put Joe on the committee?
I make a motion to put Joe on the committee.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and the other members
Pull
will
a short straw.
reach out further to the planning and zoning, but do you want the other members that the other committees had already?
If you want to give us the names.
Well, it's Bob Boyden.
Yes. Okay, I will make a motion to appoint the following to the Sewer District Oversight Committee. Gordy Brayton, Bob Boyden, Karen Mueller, Chief Bright, and that's it for now. We'll wait to hear from planning and zoning.
Joe Cardillo.
No, oh, we appointed him
Yeah, we
separately.
already-
We appointed him separately.
Yeah, we did that right away.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all. Moving on to Verizon poll petition Johnson Road. You do have that in your packet.
You're doing Joe,
Bob,
Bob gave me, 11 today.
okay.
Looked at it,
Fine. Okay. So we do have,
As long as it's 3 feet off the road.
right, it says
Yeah.
3 feet off the road.
I'm sure it does.
Is there a motion?
I'm just trying to see how to word this.
I make a motion that we accept Verizon's petition, pole position on Johnson Road as presented. Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thornton Beagle Club, event request for a beer and wine license. That too is in your packet. It's for April 7, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve Thornton Beagle Club's request for a beer and wine license for their event on April 7th, 2019.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to the last item, 2016 motor vehicle abatement.
I'll make a motion to approve the tax assessor's motor vehicle abatements in the amount of $35.14.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Future agenda items, I have requests for the bill for the dog ordinance, $2 increase to $5. Is there anything else? Thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion we adjourn. Second.
What happened to the motor vehicle?
Abatement, none?
Oh, you did it? Okay, I'm not paying any attention.
Oh,
I checked out.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?